The station had no name. People simply called it the pit because that was what it was. A place where the unwanted gathered. A place where credits changed hands in dark corners. A place where blood spilled for entertainment. Walked through the crowded halls with her head held high. Her silver skin caught the dim lights above her. Her eyes, dark purple like the deepest space, looked straight ahead. The crowd parted for her without being asked. They knew what she was, a warrior, one of the most feared fighters in the known galaxy. She wore her armor proudly. Black metal plates covered her tall body. Red marks decorated the chest piece. Each mark represented a battle won. There were many marks, more than most warriors earned in a lifetime. But was not here for battle tonight. She was here to watch. Her second in command, a male named Dorn, walked beside her. He was shorter than her but still taller than most species they passed. His face showed disgust at the dirty station around them. "Commander, I still do not understand why we came here," Dorn said quietly. "This place is beneath us." "I heard rumors," replied simply. "I wanted to see if they were true." "What rumors?" "About humans." Dorn made a sound of confusion. "Humans, the soft species from the small planet, what could possibly interest you about them?" Did not answer. She had heard stories. Strange stories about humans that did not match what everyone believed about them. The galaxy thought humans were weak, soft bodies, no claws, no armor, no venom. They seemed like prey animals that somehow learned to build ships. But the stories said something different. The stories said humans were dangerous in ways no one expected. They reached the main arena. It was a large circular pit dug into the floor of the station. Metal railings surrounded it. Hundreds of aliens pressed against those railings, shouting and throwing credits at each other. The smell of sweat and fear filled the air. Found a spot at the railing and looked down. The pit floor was stained dark with old blood. Two fighters circled each other below. One was a large insect creature with 4 arms and sharp claws. The other was something she had never seen fight before. A human. He was smaller than she expected. His skin was a warm brown color. His hair was black and cut short. He wore simple clothes, torn and dirty. His feet were bare on the bloody floor. He had no weapons. "That is the human?" Dorn asked with surprise. "He will die in seconds." Did not respond. She watched the human carefully. His name, she had learned, was Ho. He had been captured 3 months ago when pirates attacked his transport ship. Since then, he had been sold from owner to owner until he ended up here. The crowd cheered as the insect creature attacked. It was fast, moving on 6 legs while its 4 arms slashed at the air. Any normal prey would have frozen in fear. Ho did not freeze, he moved. His eyes went wide. The human stepped to the side at the last moment. The claws missed him by the width of a finger. Then he did something strange. Instead of running away, he moved closer to the creature. His hand shot out and grabbed one of the creature's arms. He twisted his body, using the creature's own speed against it. The insect flew through the air and crashed hard into the pit wall. The crowd went silent. Even the creature seemed confused as it stood back up. "How did he do that?" Dorn whispered. The insect attacked again. This time it was more careful. It used all 4 arms to slash from different angles. There was no way to dodge them all. Ho did not try to dodge, he blocked. His arms moved faster than thought possible. He knocked away the claws with his bare forearms. She saw blood appear on his skin where the sharp edges cut him. But he did not stop. He kept blocking, kept pushing forward. Then he struck. His fist hit the creature's head with a sound like thunder. The insect stumbled back. Ho hit it again, and again. Each blow was precise. Each blow was powerful. He was not just fighting, he was hunting. The creature fell to the ground. It did not get up. Silence filled the arena for a long moment. Then the crowd exploded with noise. Some cheered. Some screamed in anger because they had lost their bets, but heard none of it. She stared at the human standing alone in the pit. His chest moved up and down as he breathed hard. Blood ran down his arms from his wounds, but his eyes were clear and calm. He looked up at the crowd like he was measuring each one of them. His gaze found. For a moment their eyes met across the distance. She felt something she had not felt in a very long time. Interest, true interest. "Commander," Dorn's voice broke her thoughts. "Are you well?" "Find the pit master," ordered. Her voice was steady, but inside she felt a fire burning. "Tell him I wish to make a purchase." "A purchase? You want to buy something from this place?" "Not something." Watched as guards entered the pit to drag away the fallen creature. The human stood still, waiting for whatever came next. He did not beg. He did not show fear. He simply waited. "I want to buy him," she said. Dorn looked at her like she had lost her mind. The human, "Commander, with respect, why? He is just a prisoner, a slave. What use could he possibly be?" Finally looked away from the pit. Her purple eyes met Dorn's with an intensity that made him step back. "Did you see what I saw?" she asked quietly. "That creature was a trained killer. It has killed dozens of fighters in that pit, and that human defeated it without a weapon, without armor, without anything but his bare hands." "It was luck," Dorn suggested weakly. "No," shook her head. "That was skill, that was training, that was something our people have never seen before. I need to understand it." She looked back at the pit. Ho was being led away through a side door. His shoulders were straight despite his wounds. His steps were steady despite his exhaustion. He walked like a warrior, even in chains. "I need to understand him," said softly, "and I will." Dorn sighed but nodded. He knew better than to argue when his commander spoke in that tone. He disappeared into the crowd to find the pit master. Stayed at the railing. She could not stop thinking about what she had seen. Humans were supposed to be weak. Everyone said so. The galaxy believed it as truth. But it just watched a human tear apart a trained killer with nothing but flesh and bone. She had seen the look in his eyes. There was no fear there, no surrender, only a cold determination that reminded her of the best warriors. What other lies had the galaxy told about humans? She intended to find out. The pit master was a fat creature with green skin and too many teeth. His name was, and he smiled when he saw approaching his office. That smile made her want to break something. "A commander in my humble establishment," said with false warmth. "What an honor. What brings you to the pit tonight?" The human said directly. She had no patience for games. "The one who just fought, I want to buy him." Smile grew wider. "Ah, the human, he is popular tonight. You are the third person to ask about him." "I am not asking. I am telling you I will buy him. Name your price." The pit master leaned back in his chair. His many teeth showed in the dim light. "The human is special. He has won 12 fights now. Each time the crowd grows larger, he makes me good money." "Everything has a price." Studied her for a long moment. Then he named a number. It was high, very high, enough to buy a small ship. Did not blink. Done. The smile faded from his face. He had expected her to argue, to negotiate, but simply transferred the credits from her account and waited. "You really want this human," muttered as he checked the transfer. "I wonder why." "That is not your concern. Where is he?" 2 guards led through the back tunnels of the station. The smell was worse here. Old blood and despair filled the air. They passed cells filled with creatures waiting to die in the pit. Some screamed. Some cried. Some had gone silent long ago. They stopped at a cell near the end of the tunnel. Inside, sitting against the wall, was the human. Ho looked up when the guards opened the door. His wounds had been roughly bandaged. His face was tired, but his eyes were sharp. He watched enter the cell with the careful attention of a predator studying another predator. "On your feet, human," one guard ordered. "You have been sold." Ho stood slowly. He was not tall. He barely reached shoulder. But there was something about the way he held himself, something that made him seem larger than his body. "Another owner," he said. His voice was rough but steady. "Let me guess, you want me to fight more, kill more, entertain more." Studied him in silence for a moment. "I watched you in the pit." "Many people watched me." "They watched a fight, I watched something else." She stepped closer to him. "I watched a warrior." Something flickered in Ho's eyes. Surprise, maybe, or curiosity. "I am not a warrior, I am a prisoner." The two are not always different. Reached into her armor and pulled out a small key. She held it up for him to see. "This unlocks your chains. I am going to remove them." Ho went very still. "Why?" "Because where I come from, we do not chain warriors." The guards shifted nervously behind her. "Commander," one said carefully, "is that wise? He is dangerous." "I know," replied. "That is why I bought him." She stepped forward and unlocked the chains around Ho's wrists. The heavy metal fell to the floor with a loud clang. Then she removed the chains from his ankles. For the first time in months, the human stood free. He rubbed his wrists where the metal had dug into his skin. Then he looked at with confusion clear on his face. "I do not understand," he admitted. "You paid for a slave but removed the chains. What do you want from me?" "I want nothing from you," said. "I am offering something to you." "Offering what?" "A place." She crossed her arms over her armored chest. "Among my warriors as an equal." Ho stared at her like she had started speaking a language he did not know. "You want me to fight for you?" "I want you to fight beside me. There is a difference." "I do not know you. I do not know your people. Why would I agree to this?" Considered the question. It was fair. She would have asked the same thing in his position. "My people are called the," she explained. "We are warriors. It is our purpose, our meaning. We live to find worthy opponents and worthy allies. When we find someone who proves themselves in battle, we have a tradition. We claim them." "Claim them?" "Not as property, as family." She saw his doubt and continued. "I know what you are thinking. You think this is a trick. Another cage with prettier bars, but I swear to you on my honor as a warrior that is not what I offer." Ho was quiet for a long time. He looked at the chains on the floor, then at the cell around him, then at the tunnel beyond where other prisoners waited for their death in the pit. "And if I refuse?" he asked finally. "Then you walk away free. I will not stop you." His eyes snapped back to her face. "You would let me go after paying so much for me?" "I paid for the right to make this offer, nothing more." Met his gaze steadily. "I have no interest in owning slaves. I have interest in finding warriors. If you are not one, then I was wrong and you should go." "You know I am a warrior. You said so yourself." "I know what I saw in the pit, but a warrior is more than fighting skill. A warrior has honor, pride, purpose. I do not know yet if you have these things." Ho let out a small laugh. It was not a happy sound. "You are strange." "My name is—" He tested the name in his mouth. "My people had warriors once, long ago. They followed codes of honor. They served with pride." "And you, did you follow such codes?" His face darkened with old pain. "I tried, before everything was taken from me." Saw the wound in his eyes. She recognized it. She had seen it in the mirror many times. "Loss does not end honor," she said quietly. "It tests it." Ho looked at her differently then, like he was seeing her for the first time, not as an alien, not as a buyer, but as something else, someone who might understand. "What would you have me do?" he asked. "Come to my ship, meet my warriors, see our way of life." She gestured toward the tunnel exit. "Then decide. If you choose to stay, I will teach you our ways and you will teach me yours. If you choose to leave, I will give you credits and transport to wherever you wish to go." That is a generous offer. It is a fair offer. Generosity has nothing to do with it. Ho looked at the cell one last time. Then he squared his shoulders and faced her directly. "I will come to your ship," he said. "I will meet your warriors, but I promise nothing beyond that." "That is all I ask," turned and walked toward the exit. She did not look back to see if he followed. She did not need to. She could hear his footsteps behind her, steady, determined. The footsteps of someone choosing to walk into the unknown rather than stay in the familiar dark. The guards watched with wide eyes as the commander and the human walked past them. No one tried to stop them. No one dared. Dorn was waiting at the ship. His face showed shock when he saw Ho walking freely beside his commander. "He has no chains," Dorn observed. "He needs none," replied. "Prepare a guest quarters. He is under my protection now." Guest quarters for a human. For a potential warrior. Is there a problem, Dorn? Dorn knew better than to argue. He bowed his head and went to follow orders. Ho stood at the entrance of the ship, looking at the clean corridors and advanced technology. It was so different from the pit, so different from the cages and the blood and the screaming crowds. "Welcome to the Iron Honor," said. "My ship, my home, and perhaps one day yours." Ho did not respond, but as he stepped onto the ship, saw something in his eyes that had not been there before. Hope. It was small, fragile, hidden behind walls of pain and distrust, but it was there, and intended to protect it until it grew strong enough to stand on its own. Because she had seen the warrior in the pit, now she wanted to see the man behind the warrior, and she suspected that man was worth knowing. 3 days passed on the Iron Honor. Ho spent most of that time alone in his quarters. The room was small but clean. It had a bed that was soft, food that was warm, a door that did not lock from the outside. These simple things felt like treasures after months in the pit. He slept more than he had in a long time, real sleep, not the shallow rest of a prisoner waiting for death. His body began to heal. The cuts on his arms closed. The bruises on his ribs faded from purple to yellow. But his mind remained restless. Visited him once each day. She never stayed long. She would ask if he needed anything. She would tell him small things about the ship and its crew. Then she would leave. She never pushed him to talk, never demanded anything. It was strange behavior for someone who had paid so much for him. On the 4th day, Ho left his room. The ship was larger than he expected. He walked through the corridors slowly, watching everything. Crew members passed him with curious looks. They were all silver skin, purple eyes, tall and strong. They moved like predators even when doing simple tasks. He found the training hall by following the sounds of combat. It was a wide room with high ceilings. The floor was covered in soft material to cushion falls. Weapons hung on the walls. Targets stood in corners. And in the center of the room, warriors trained. There were 6 of them, 5 males and 1 female. They fought in pairs, practicing with long staffs. Their movements were fast and powerful. Each strike could break bones. Each block showed years of training. Ho stood in the doorway and watched. He did not try to hide. There was no point. One of the warriors noticed him first. A large male with more scars than the others. He stopped fighting and stared at the human with open hostility. "Look," the warrior said loudly, "the pet has come out of its cage." The others stopped training. They turned to look at Ho with various expressions. Some showed curiosity. Some showed disgust. The female warrior just looked bored. The one walked toward Ho. He was huge, almost 2 heads taller than the human. His muscles were thick under his silver skin. His purple eyes held no warmth. "I am Vex," the warrior said, "first among the commander's guard, and I do not understand why you are here." Ho met his gaze without flinching. "I was invited." "Invited?" Vex made the word sound like an insult. "The commander has strange tastes lately, bringing soft creatures onto a warrior's ship." Vex, another warrior, stepped forward. It was Dorn, second in command. "The commander gave orders. The human is a guest." "The commander also gave orders that we are to test any who wish to join us." Vex smiled. It was not a friendly expression. If this human wants to be a warrior, he should prove it. The other warriors shifted. Some looked uncomfortable, some looked eager. The tension in the room grew thick. Ho understood what was happening. He had seen it before, in the military, in the pit. Wherever warriors gathered, there were always those who needed to prove themselves by pushing down others. "What kind of test?" Ho asked calmly. Vex's smile grew wider. "Simple, fight me. If you can last 1 minute, I will accept you. If not, you leave the ship." "Vex, this is not appropriate," Dorn warned. "The commander did not authorize this." "The commander gave me authority over training matters." Vex never looked away from Ho. "This is a training matter, so human. Do you accept?" Ho looked at the massive warrior in front of him. Vex was bigger, stronger, had longer reach, had claws, had natural armor in his thick skin. By any measure, this fight was unfair. "I accept," Ho said. Vex laughed. "Good, at least the soft one has courage." They moved to the center of the training floor. The other warriors formed a circle around them. Dorn looked worried but did not interfere. The female warrior watched with new interest in her eyes. Vex grabbed a staff from the wall and tossed one to Ho. The human caught it easily but shook his head. "No weapons," Ho said. He set the staff aside. Vex stared at him. "You refuse a weapon against me." "I do not need one." Something dangerous flashed in Vex's eyes. His pride was wounded. That was exactly what Ho wanted. "Foolish creature," Vex growled. He dropped his own staff and raised his clawed hands. "I will try not to kill you." "I will try not to hurt you," Ho replied quietly. Vex roared and charged. The warrior was fast, faster than the insect creature in the pit. His claws cut through the air toward Ho's face. Ho moved. He did not dodge away. He stepped into the attack, inside Vex's reach, where the claws could not cut effectively. His hand shot up and grabbed Vex's wrist. At the same time, his foot swept behind Vex's ankle. The giant warrior fell. He hit the ground hard. Before he could rise, Ho had twisted his arm into a lock. One wrong move and the joint would break. Silence filled the training hall. No one moved, no one breathed. Vex struggled against the hold. He was stronger than Ho, much stronger, but strength meant nothing when the leverage was wrong. Every time he pushed, the pressure on his joint increased. The pain made him freeze. "Yield," Ho said calmly. "Never," Vex snarled. He tried to strike with his free hand. Ho adjusted his position. Now he controlled both arms, and his knee pressed against Vex's throat, not hard enough to choke, just hard enough to make a point. "Yield," Ho repeated. The seconds stretched long. Vex's face twisted with rage and shame. He was beaten. Everyone could see it. A human had taken down the first warrior of the commander's guard in less than 10 seconds. "I yield," Vex finally said. The words sounded like they hurt to speak. Ho released him and stepped back. He offered his hand to help Vex up. The stared at the offered hand like it was a weapon. Then slowly he took it. Ho pulled him to his feet. "How?" Vex demanded. His voice was rough with confusion. "You are smaller, weaker. You have no claws, no armor. How did you defeat me?" "Your people fight with strength," Ho said simply. "My people learned to fight without it. We had to." "What do you mean?" Ho looked around at the other warriors. They were all listening now. The hostility in their eyes had been replaced with something else. Respect, maybe, or at least curiosity. "On my world, we are not the strongest creatures. We are not the fastest. We cannot fly or breathe underwater or see in the dark. We have no venom, no shells, no claws." He paused. "But we are still here, still alive, still fighting. Do you know why?" No one answered. "Because we learned that strength is not the only way to win. Sometimes the best weapon is knowing where to strike, when to move, how to turn an enemy's power against them." He looked at Vex. "You are stronger than me, but you attacked in anger. You left yourself open. Your own strength became your weakness." Vex was quiet for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He bowed his head. "I was wrong about you, human. You are not soft." "Ho, my name is Ho." Ho, Vex tested the name. Then he straightened and met the human's eyes. "Will you teach us this way of fighting without strength?" Ho blinked in surprise. He had expected anger, revenge maybe, not a request to learn. "If you wish," he said carefully. The other warriors gathered closer. Even the bored female looked interested now. "I am," she said. "I want to learn as well." "And I," said another. "And I." One by one, they all spoke. Even Dorn, who had been watching from the side, stepped forward. "The commander was right about you," Dorn said. "You are something we have never seen before, something we can learn from." Ho looked at the warriors around him. They had tried to break him, to drive him away. Instead, they were now asking him to teach. It was strange, but it was also familiar. This was how warriors earned respect, through action, not words. "I will teach what I know," Ho said finally. "But I expect to learn from you as well, your techniques, your weapons, your traditions." "A fair exchange," Vex agreed. For the first time since boarding the ship, Ho felt something shift inside him. The walls around his heart cracked just a little, just enough to let something through. Maybe had been right. Maybe this could be more than another cage. Maybe, just maybe, he could find something here he thought he had lost forever. A place to belong. Weeks passed. The Iron Honor traveled through space on its patrol route, guarding territory from threats. And during those weeks, Ho became part of the ship. He trained with the warriors every day. He taught them human fighting techniques, joint locks, pressure points, how to redirect force instead of meeting it directly. In return, they taught him combat, staff fighting, blade work, how to read an opponent's body before they moved. He ate with the crew, he learned their language, he listened to their stories. Slowly, the looks of suspicion became looks of acceptance. He was still different, still human, but he was becoming one of them. Watched all of this from a distance. She gave orders, led training sessions, made decisions for the ship, but she rarely spoke to Ho directly, not like she had in those first days on the station. It confused him. One night, Ho could not sleep. His mind was too full of thoughts. He left his quarters and walked through the quiet ship. His feet carried him to the observation deck without him planning it. The room was dark except for the glow of stars through the large window. Space stretched out in all directions, endless and beautiful and terrifying all at once. He was not alone. Stood at the window. Her silver skin reflected the starlight. She wore simple clothes instead of armor. It was the first time he had seen her like this. She looked smaller somehow, more real. "Could not sleep?" she asked without turning around. "No," he moved to stand beside her. "You." "I do not sleep much, never have." She finally looked at him. "The warriors speak highly of you. Vex says you are the most skilled fighter he has ever faced." "Vex is generous. He has beaten me many times in training." "But you learn from every loss. He says that is what makes you dangerous." A small smile touched her lips. "He is afraid of what you will become in a year." "I do not think Vex is afraid of anything." "Everyone is afraid of something." They stood in silence for a while. The stars drifted past slowly. Ho realized he had never felt so peaceful looking at space before. It had always seemed like a void, cold and empty and waiting to swallow him. But here now, it felt different. "Can I ask you something?" he said finally. "You may ask, I may not answer." "Why did you really buy me? The true reason." Was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer than he had ever heard it. "I saw myself in you." He looked at her with surprise. "What do you mean?" "In the pit, the way you stood, the way you fought, the way you looked at the crowd like they were nothing to you." She turned to face him fully. "I recognize that look. I have worn it myself." "I do not understand." "I was not always a commander." She moved to a bench near the window and sat down. After a moment, Ho joined her. I was born to a low family. In culture, that means you are nothing. You serve the high families. You fight their wars. You die for their honor while earning none of your own. But you are a commander now. You lead warriors. I fought for everything I have, every rank, every mark on my armor, every ounce of respect. Her eyes grew distant with old memories. When I was young, I was captured by raiders, sold to a fighting pit much like the one where I found you. I spent 2 years there. Ho felt his chest tighten. He knew that pain. He understood that darkness. How did you escape? I did not escape, I won. Her voice hardened with old pride. I won so many fights that I became valuable. A high commander came to watch me fight. She saw what you saw in me, what I saw in you, a warrior worth saving. She bought you. She claimed me, made me her student, taught me everything she knew. When she died in battle, I took her place. Looked at him directly. That is why I bought you, Ho, not because I needed a fighter. I have many fighters. I bought you because I saw someone who deserved a second chance, like I was given. The words hit him harder than any blow he had ever taken. His throat felt tight. His eyes burned. I was a soldier, he said quietly. I protected people. It was my purpose, my meaning. What happened? The question was simple, but the answer was heavy. He had not spoken of it to anyone. Not in the pit. Not on this ship. The memories were locked away behind walls he had built to survive. But something about made those walls feel weaker. There was an attack, he said slowly. Pirates. They came to our colony looking for supplies. We tried to stop them. We failed. His hands curled into fists on his knees. They killed everyone, my squad, my friends, everyone I was supposed to protect. But not you. No, not me. The words were bitter in his mouth. I survived. I do not know why. They took me as a prize, a human soldier, something to sell for entertainment. Survivor's guilt, said softly. I know it well. He looked at her with surprise. When my mistress died, I was at her side. I could not save her. For years, I asked myself why I lived when she did not, why I was the one left behind. How did you make peace with it? I did not, she shook her head. I do not think peace is possible, but I learned to live with it. I learned to carry my dead with me instead of being crushed by them. How? By finding new purpose, new people to protect, new reasons to wake up each morning. She reached out and touched his hand. Her silver fingers were cool against his brown skin. You are not alone in this darkness, Ho, and you do not have to stay in it forever. He stared at her hand on his, such a small gesture, but it broke something inside him, something he had been holding together with all his strength. I do not know how to move forward, he admitted. His voice cracked slightly. I do not know who I am anymore. You are who you choose to be. The past does not own you unless you let it. You make it sound simple. It is not. It is the hardest thing in the universe. She squeezed his hand gently. But you have already started. You are here. You are training. You are building something new. That takes courage. He was quiet for a long time. The stars continued their slow drift outside the window. The ship hummed softly around them. Thank you, he said finally, for telling me your story, for understanding. Thank you for listening to mine. She released his hand and stood up. Rest now. Tomorrow we reach the border station. There will be work to do. What kind of work? The kind warriors are made for. She paused at the door. I would like you by my side when we arrive, if you are willing. As a guard. As a warrior, my warrior. Her purple eyes held his. What do you say? Ho felt something bloom in his chest. It was warm and fragile and terrifying. He had sworn not to let himself feel this again, not to trust, not to hope. But here he was, hopping anyway. I would be honored, he said. Smiled, it transformed her face, made her look younger, softer, human almost despite her silver skin and alien features. Then rest well, warrior. Tomorrow we begin a new chapter." She left, the door closed softly behind her. Ho stayed at the window for a long time. He looked at the stars and thought about everything she had said, about second chances, about carrying the dead, about choosing who to become. He thought about his squad, his friends, the people he had failed to protect. He had been running from their memory for so long, hiding in violence and survival. Maybe it was time to stop running. Maybe it was time to fight for something again. He touched the window glass with his fingertips. The stars seemed closer now, less empty, less cold. "I will make you proud," he whispered to the ghosts in his memory. "I promise." The stars did not answer, but somewhere in the silence, Ho felt like they were listening. The attack came without warning. One moment, the Iron Honor was docked at the border station for supplies. The next moment, alarms were screaming and the ship was shaking from weapon fire. Ho was in the training hall when it started. He grabbed a staff from the wall and ran toward the command deck. Warriors sprinted through the corridors around him. Everyone moved with purpose. Everyone knew their role. He found at the command station. She was already in full armor, giving orders through her communication device. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp. "Report," Ho said as he reached her side. "Raiders, 3 ships. They came out of the asteroid field." She pulled up a display showing the battle. They disabled the station's defenses before attacking. This was planned. "How many?" "At least 50. They are boarding the station now." Ho watched the display. Red dots swarmed through the station layout. Blue dots tried to stop them but were being pushed back. The station had some security forces but not enough for an attack this size. "They are going for the command center," he realized. "They want to take the station." "Yes, and if they do, they will control the border crossing. Every ship that comes through will be at their mercy." His jaw tightened. "We cannot let that happen." "What are your orders?" She looked at him. In her eyes he saw something he had not seen before. Not doubt exactly, but weight. The weight of command, the weight of sending people into danger. "I am taking a team to the station. We will stop them at the command center." She paused. "I want you with me." "Then I am with you." She nodded once. Then she activated her communication device again. "Vex, Dorn, meet me at the boarding ramp. Full combat gear. We move in 2 minutes." They gathered quickly. 6 warriors in total, led the way as they crossed from the ship to the station through a boarding tunnel. The sounds of battle grew louder as they moved deeper inside. The station was chaos. Bodies lay in the corridors. Some were raiders, but most were station workers. Innocent people who had been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Ho felt his anger building. These raiders killed without thought, without honor. They would pay for that. "Contact ahead," Dorn warned. A group of raiders appeared around a corner. They were mixed species, some reptile, some insect, some things Ho had no name for. They were armed with blasters and blades. Did not hesitate, she charged. Her blade sang through the air. The first raider fell before he could raise his weapon. The second died with a scream. Then Vex was there and Dorn and Ho. They fought as one unit, covering each other, supporting each other. The raiders never stood a chance. They pushed forward, more raiders came, more raiders fell. The corridor floor became slick with blood. Ho fought with his staff. He had learned the techniques well, but when the fighting got close he used his own methods, a joint lock here, a throw there. He left enemies alive when he could, not from mercy, from efficiency. A broken arm ended a fight just as well as a killing blow. They reached the command center door. It was sealed from the inside. "They have hostages," said, checking her scanner. 20 station workers, at least 15 raiders guarding them. "Can we breach?" Vex asked. "Not without them killing the hostages first." Ho studied the door. Then he looked at the walls around it. Then he made a decision. "There is a maintenance shaft above us," he said. "It goes into the ceiling of the command center. I saw it on the station plans." Looked at him. "You memorized the station plans." "I memorize everything useful. Old habit." He pointed upward. "I can go through the shaft, drop in from above, create a distraction. When they focus on me, you breach the door." "That is suicide," Dorn said flatly. "You will be alone against 15 enemies." "Not for long, just long enough for you to get inside." "I will not let you sacrifice yourself," said firmly. "I am not sacrificing myself. I am creating an opportunity." He met her eyes. "You said you wanted me by your side as your warrior. This is what warriors do. We take risks that others will not. We protect those who cannot protect themselves." The words hung in the air, stared at him with an expression he could not read. Then slowly she nodded. "If you die, I will be very angry with you." "I do not plan to die, Commander." "See that you do not." Ho climbed into the maintenance shaft. It was tight, dark. He moved by feel, counting the distance in his head. When he reached the right spot, he could hear voices below, raiders laughing, hostages crying. The sound made his blood burn. He found a loose panel and looked through the crack. The command center spread out below him. Hostages were grouped in one corner, guarded by 5 raiders. The rest of the raiders stood near the main console, working on something. Their leader was a tall reptile with scars covering his face. Ho took a breath, then another. He let the calm settle over him, the calm before battle, the calm of focus. He dropped. The panel gave way and he fell into the room. He landed on a raider, driving the enemy to the ground. Before anyone could react, he was moving. His staff cracked against one skull, spun to block a blade, jabbed into a throat. He was not fighting like a human. He was fighting like both. Everything he had learned combined into something new. Raiders fell around him, but there were too many. He knew that. He just needed to last long enough. The door exploded inward. Led the charge like a silver storm. Her blade cut through raiders like they were paper. Vex roared as he smashed enemies aside. Dorn and covered the hostages, pulling them to safety. The battle was short after that. The remaining raiders tried to fight. They tried to run. Neither worked. Within minutes, every enemy was down. Ho stood in the middle of the destruction, breathing hard. Blood ran from cuts on his arms and face. His staff was cracked from use, but he was alive. Walked toward him through the fallen bodies. Her armor was splashed with red. Her eyes burned with something fierce and bright. "That was reckless," she said. "It worked. It almost got you killed." "Almost does not count." She stared at him for a long moment. Then she did something unexpected. She laughed. It was a real laugh, full and warm and surprised. "You are impossible human." "I try." The hostages were freed. The station was secured. Backup arrived from other ships in the area. The battle was won. Hours later, after the wounded were treated and the dead were counted, gathered her warriors on the Iron Honor. They stood in the main hall in a formal line. Ho stood with them, unsure of what was happening. Walked to the front of the group. She was not wearing armor now. Instead, she wore ceremonial robes of deep red. She carried something in her hands, a metal band, simple but elegant. In tradition, a warrior who proves themselves beyond doubt is given the highest honor we can offer, she said. Her voice carried through the hall. They are named Sword Sworn, bound to their commander not by duty or payment but by choice, by trust, by honor. She stopped in front of Ho. "You came to us as a stranger, an outsider, a human." She held up the metal band. "Today you are none of those things. Today you are mine and I am yours. Equals in battle, family in peace." Ho felt his throat tighten. He looked at the band in her hands, such a small thing, but it meant everything. "I accept," he said. His voice was rough with emotion. "I am honored to serve at your side, now and always." placed the band around his wrist. It was cool against his skin. She held his hand for a moment longer than necessary. "Welcome home, warrior," she said softly. The other warriors cheered. Vex slapped Ho on the back hard enough to make him stumble. Dorn offered a rare smile, nodded with respect. But Ho barely heard them. He was looking at the warmth in her purple eyes, at the future stretching out before them, uncertain but full of possibility. He had lost everything once, his home, his people, his purpose. Now, in the strangest place with the strangest people, he had found something new. He had found where he belonged. And he would never let it go.